Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin Strang coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner. And I am bringing the stream up on my tablet so I can see the chat. I have decided to go ahead and pull out my other Halal certified Chinese 8-hour or single meal ration. I got this beef menu from the same seller that I got the chicken one from. And I am going to be making a couple of changes in that, as you can see on the bag, it has some of the same items. The instant drink, the chewing gum, it says crispy cucumber, so I'm hoping that will be a slightly different pickled vegetable. The high energy bar, multivitamin and chocolate flavor, those will be the same as in the chicken version. This has a best buy of 2029, so I believe these are 2024 production, 5-year shelf life. These always have this hole in the middle. These have this tear notch on this side where you rip it down the side, but I'm choosing not to do that. On the back, just like the beef one, it has nutritional information for the basic ingredients and instructions on how to use this flameless ration heater, which I'm obviously not going to be using. But I know these Chinese ration heaters are very good at what they do. So I decided I'm going to substitute. This is the chocolate energy bar. I've showed this before. This has a best buy of 2044. So I'm going to be holding on to those. These are the perfect size to put in a get-home bag, in a bug-out bag, in any kind of vehicle emergency kit. I don't have a vehicle, but these would be perfect for that. And you can buy these, a whole case of these at a time, online. That says crispy cucumber. So I got this chocolate cereal bar. I'm going to go ahead and check that out. This one has the chocolate bars and the gum. And this is the banana chips. This is one of the two entrees, already encased in the FRH. This is the multivitamin energy bar. So again, I am going to hold on to these. So everything else out of the bag. Here is the drink powder for the drinking jar. I believe it will be the exact same as the other one. This is the water measuring bag for using the FRH. Same thing in here, the wax cardboard tray with the spork and a napkin and a toothpick. No hot drink in these. See, Art and Nina dropping that super chat. That's much appreciated. Thanks for dropping in. Got waffles here. Booger Butt in the house. Pepper for the Ages is here. DeCarlos Perry is here. Bodine's Life. Is in here as well. Spicy tuna rolls is here. Well, these insulated bags, these little foam bags, I save these. I have used these with other flameless ration heaters before, and despite their thin material, they are very good at what they do. Because these tend to leave a lot of residue on the retort pouch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these into the kitchen. I'm going to cut them in there and actually rinse them off before I put them in my water. You know, to start those heating up. All my trash will go into the ration bag. So I will put this water bag in here. So there's a toothpick. Actually, it's a spoon. A little bit darker than the standard USMRE spoon, so it's a little darker brown. These will go into my stash of disposable utensils. There's really not a whole lot to this. I looked in my fridge for soy sauce packets, but I have some sweet and sour sauce packets. I brought those in. I'm just cutting off the tops of these ration heater bags. Just for a cleaner rip. My crusher is in the house. Plus this allows me to open it up. You can see the retort pouch inside there. This drink powder kind of smells like the same as the one from the chicken menu. These are not menu numbered. And because there's no hot drink in this option, or in this ration, I'm going for my favorite 3-in-1 instant coffee, which is the G7. There's not a whole lot in here, so these don't take too long to mix. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that up after I get the retort pouches out of here, rinsed off, and into the pot. I am back. I just took the kettle back to the kitchen. These drink mixes do not say how much water to put in. The banana chips, some of them are above the tear notch, so I'm just going to cut it from below. These crumbled up just like the last ones. Now, because I'm going for a different choice than the bars that were provided, there's two chocolate bars which kind of stuck together. They're just vacuum sealed that way. And one big piece of gum. this chocolate cereal bar. I have never seen this before in any U.S. ration. This red stamp is not exactly readable. It looks like there's a little bit of an issue with the packaging here. Like the layers of it got crimped and folded the wrong way, but it's still vacuum sealed. So I'm just going to go ahead and open it across here. It definitely smells better than a Chinese bar. It looks like some of the chocolate chips may have melted into the plastic, but oh, it says chocolate chip cereal bar. But now that I have it fully opened up, there is a look at the nutritional information on that. Don't know how well you'll be able to read that, but that's what it looks like. Done by Sterling Foods. This could be I can't tell if that first digit is a 6 or an 8 because it's been obliterated. So it's either 2016 or 2018. Kind of hard to tell on that. All three of these packets are basically the same. I just grabbed them all. But I have sweet and sour sauce packets that are actually labeled, and this looks exactly like them, so I just grabbed them. Well, the crispy cucumber, I can push it down below the tear notch. There's CR in the house. It looks exactly like the other one. From the other Chinese ration, I see some red in there, like a red bell pepper. So I'm just going to put that right up here in the top right corner. Well, Mike, that sounds like an interesting thing to try. I'm just giving my drink mix another stir. This yellow stain on here is from the all of the yellow foods that I've had on here, or the color has kind of incorporated itself into the plastic. But again, this tray was from 1983. That's how long I've had it. I'm not a gum chewer, so I will save that for later. I'm opening up both chocolate bars because why not? I'm gonna go back into the kitchen, get the two fried rice pouches, and I'll open those up. I use this dome lid from my main cookware set to carry my hot pouches from the kitchen, and a paper towel to dry them with. Because I chose to rinse these off beforehand, they're going to be a whole lot cleaner to open. Than they would be if I had just taken them out of the heater bags with all of that residue. But the Chinese FRH has two elements in it. So this one, the food is above the tear notch. So I shake it down. There's a lima bean, but the B and the E are not next to each other. That's just how it was printed. So that's the first one. They compact the food in these so much that it comes out in just one huge clump. But I believe they use a sticky rice. A rice that is meant for sticky rice. Everything came out of there. To get this. There we go, that is all of it. And this one says stewed beef. So this one on the right has corn and carrots, corn, and it's got peas. The one on the left has carrots and beans. I just uncovered a bit of the beef there. That is definitely sticky rice, just like the chicken, the two chicken entrees. This one, the one on the left, has a little bit more flavor. Actually, about the same amount of flavor. And the peas in this one are not soft. Looks like a similar bean in both of these. But I think they could use a little bit of something. Definitely not salt. They are plenty salty enough. I just got a lick of that sweet and sour sauce. I like that. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chinese soldier in the field doesn't pack their own condiments. Yeah, they probably do. After all, why not have a little taste of home? Put a couple of condiment packets in your pocket. And you're good to go. And just like I did the last one, end up mixing these together. Since these have almost the exact same flavor, So the two of these work together for me. Yeah. Especially with some of these rations being pretty bland. Some reviews that I recently watched had some pretty bland items in it. I know the one ended up going into the kitchen and getting a little something to add to it just to spice it up a bit. I have my slider on so or my slider open so any extra noises come from outside. I really can't help that. And I really don't want to close it because it's too nice outside. I have no idea what's going on out there, but somebody was banging something. Would it be nice to have seen a few more veggies in here besides the corn, carrots, peas, and the beans? But I'm still liking this. My cousin, who was in the Air Force down at Eglin Air Base, probably ate most of, if not all of her meals on base unless she was doing some field exercise where she had to go work on a jet because that's what her job was. She was a fighter jet mechanic. So as far as rations go, I don't know if she had to eat any rations after she completed her basic training. I have never thought to ask anyone who has served if they are given rations during some of their field training exercises, or they may have to spend more than a day away from a kitchen. Well, I hope this makes you hungry because I'm definitely enjoying this. I have no idea how many more menus are in this halal lineup for this particular line of rations. They do have a website, but I have not looked to see if it is in English or not. But this is the company that packed this ration for the Chinese military. I'm assuming these Chinese characters here are probably the same as this BDH. There are some other newer Chinese rations that are actually numbered, like the ones in the gray, solid gray bags that I reviewed last year. And then there's some others that are like type A or type B or something like that. They probably all have different purposes or are geared towards specific activities or missions. Maybe different environments. But I'm definitely glad I was able to find these. They're already here in the US, so I didn't have to worry about them getting raided. Yeah, because I put a sweet and sour sauce on here, it's not spicy. This pickled cucumber actually may have a little bit more spice because of the red pepper that's in it. There is a good look at that piece of red pepper. It's not 5 alarm fire hot, but it just has enough spice to let you know it's there. This is definitely an isotonic drink. It's exact same flavor as I figured it would be from the other one. It's actually not bad. Some may not like it so much, but it doesn't bother me any. And it does not indicate how much water to mix it with. So the soldier in the field probably just dumped it into a canteen or other water bottle they had and called it good. Thanks for jumping in, Mike. And speaking of him, he just did a double drawing for a 600 subscriber giveaway. Waffles won the first one. So he said, give it to this other person. So then Mike decided to go ahead and pack up another box and pick another name. So now a different person won that one. So Mike has 2 boxes to ship out, if he hasn't done so already. When I pass 1,500, then I will do a giveaway. I have a few items already lined up, and I'm hoping to pick up some more. Some things I've already had since they're probably sitting on for a few years. Another item was more recently picked up. And I'll do something similar to my previous prize packs where I include some survival items. But this one will include a full ration, at least that. If you remember back when I opened the box that had that pizza MRE, and I had no idea if it was going to be the cheese or pepperoni. I opened up that bag and it turned out it was the pepperoni pizza. And because I do not eat that one, because it is a pork-based pepperoni, I decided I'm going to go ahead and tape that bag back shut, and that will be a giveaway item. I may throw a couple more things into that bag, but that will be a surprise. I don't know what a FLH is. And I have sealed FRH bags that I have not opened up in order to remove anything. But those two Chinese FRH bags went into the same Ziploc bag as the first two from the chicken ration. I just tucked the top of the bag inside of that foam bag, and then I put those inside of the gallon bag with the other two, so I have all four of those in there now. And those two folded food trays are in there as well, with the little water measuring bag. That's probably because people are too stupid to read the ingredients on the back of the bag. Or they think that they're like certain other snacks like the Pringles or the Lay's Stacks or similar chips that are made with ingredients besides potato. Or like I said, maybe some people are just that stupid that they don't think to look at the ingredients on the back of the bag. Pumpkin is down there just to the left of my table edge. Probably can't see much of her because of where I have my camera aimed, but she just moved. That was her meowing. But there was a local here who had no idea that ham and pork come from the same animal. This person literally thought that they're two different animal sources, not both from pigs. They couldn't quite believe it when I said, no, ham is pork. They're from the same animal. I think she's interested in what I have, but because of some of the ingredients in this, like uh, garlic and onion, I will not give any of this to her. Not that I give her any of my food. She only eats cat food. It almost threw me for a loop to hear someone who should know better, but obviously was not awake when in some class learning about where meats come from. Yeah, probably the same type of idiot who would think that a hot dog is actually made from meat from a dog. I wouldn't be surprised at hearing somebody say that. I know you're just teasing with that. There's some other leafy greens in here along with the cucumber. What you meowing about, pumpkin? What you meowing about, pumpkin? I have not seen anything on either of his channels, either his English channel or his Polish one lately. I'm sure he's busy with work and life. Just like a lot of people have been. I'm sure when he feels like it, he'll put up a video saying what's been going on, what he's been up to. I have actually seen the canned horse meat online on eBay, but it all comes from sellers outside of the US. And because that is not something that I would probably want to eat. Although germs got a hold of a ration that had the horse meat in it, and he actually liked it. He put that video up sometime last year. But he does have that his reaction to it on his channel. I haven't even seen him on Facebook. I don't know if he just got smacked with life. I would like to see him come back as well. And Jack of Trades. He's also out in California. Haven't seen anything from him for a while, so don't know what's up with him. There are some guys in the UK I watch. One I have not seen anything from, but he used to not only like to do day hikes and maybe multi-day hikes, but he liked to review hard ciders. He preferred those over beer or any other alcoholic drink. He even had sponsorships where companies would send him some to review. But he liked to also take rations. And then, Tom Outdoors. Then some other guys like TA Outdoors, Kent Survival. Those guys will occasionally grab a ration and incorporate it into an overnight or other camping trip. Especially if they are doing either a period specific or a military surplus, then they would want a military ration as opposed to a civilian one. But those guys have done that. But some others that I used to, I saw one in chat yesterday in Shadow Scout Sweet's chat. Although I did not see his name in the chat, but then he may have been in one of the chats specific to one of the guys in the UK. uh, Carlisle 195. I hadn't seen him for a while, but maybe he will get back to doing videos again. He had a very elaborate bushcraft camp setup, but he was not much into rations. But just speaking of guys in the UK, I used to watch, but I had not seen anything from in a while. But some other reviewers have said that they have to back off because of whatever reason or another. At least they put up videos stating that either it's a health issue or some other issue where they have to stop doing certain types of content. And one of them eventually did die. I found out from some other UK YouTubers. And another one just, he's done a few videos about using one of the weight loss drugs, the GLP-1, and a couple of his experiences with it. But that's all I've seen from him. Thanks for dropping in, Waffles. Yeah, this is a chocolate chip cookie bar. I'm actually going to move that down here next to the chocolate bars. I think the heat is starting to melt the chocolate chips. The banana chip pieces taste just like they did before. Some of these are just a little bit more beat up. They are dehydrated, so they are dense, as opposed to being freeze dried, where they would be a whole lot lighter and airier. Sue of Eats, Treats, and MREs will put out a video every once in a while. I think she has been busy with work and just stuff in general. Maybe she's having a hard time trying to get the types of rations that she wants to review. There are certain things that she will not eat because of cheese content. So that is one thing that cuts out a number of things for her. Is she does not eat cheese, and she explains on her channel why. But she has also done some more prepping and survival related type videos. Just urging her viewers to get more prepared. And I like seeing that people are, so more people are starting to take this seriously, and yet still more need to be. But all we can do is just get the word out there. Normally I do my prepping stock up hauls once a month, but I'm actually just going to combine March and April together. Ramadan took up most of the month of March. And after that ended, I just basically wanted to just kind of relax a little bit. Plus, I am waiting on some things to arrive that took longer than others. And I had an Amazon snafu where a package says it was undeliverable, but yet, so they say they can reorder some items, and they gave me a partial refund, even though I said I don't want a refund, I just want my items. But then I was getting numerous messages saying that I had to send everything back, both the original and the replacement, at my expense. So I said, well, where you want me to take them to is not accessible by bus. I don't drive. How am I supposed to do that? And ship all these items. Some of them are big. You know, they're bulky, like the 4 packs of the disinfecting wipes. I said, I can't send all 4 of those back because I had already taken one of those to the mosque. And we had already gotten into those. So those are not coming back. I cannot return those. So finally, supervisor said, well, just keep them. You don't have to return it. You don't have to pay for anything new. But I just had to put a little pressure on, let them know that some of us don't have the luxury of being able to drive somewhere to return something that was someone else's mistake. Just like when I got those 2 wagons, I was told that I did not, if I get the second one, I can keep both of them. I ended up donating one to the White Eagle Powwow Organizing Committee. And when it comes time for the powwow, we use both wagons. I just have mine marked with an S on all 4 sides to distinguish mine from the other one because they're both the same color. So I will show all of those items together. So I got duplicates of some items. Then there were a couple others where something was missing from the original package, or that they just couldn't reorder them for whatever reason. But sometimes you just got to put a little pressure on these companies to do the right thing and making a reasonable accommodation for someone else's mistake. And of course, one person here would have lost a FedEx package had I not been going out of the door that the FedEx driver was wanting to come in. So I beckoned the driver over. Said, "You want to get in here? I'll let you in. You can go drop your package and then get on your way." And I complained to the property management company again about the code boxes being useless and that people will still try to use it despite the notices on them saying that they don't work. Plus, I've had to deal with 2 bathroom leaks because someone was not very careful with controlling the water coming either out of the shower or over the side of the tub. And I had to explain to him that, I was at the mosque. How was I supposed to know how long it had been going on if I'm not there to see it? But yet I'm expected to know exactly how long it had been going on when I would be gone for several hours at a time. So hopefully the warnings to the person above actually get heeded and that person is more careful. Otherwise, might have to do what happened to the last person who intentionally caused a leak 2 years ago. There's Tim Riley in the house. couple of the items from last time when I had the chicken menu. These two I'm leaving sealed. These are good till 2044. So I'm leaving these sealed. I don't feel the need to open these up again because I still have the other two bars. That are still inside of the inner wrap inside of these. And I brought out this chocolate chip cookie bar instead. That's from an American Ration. This drink mix is the same as in the chicken menu. I got the G7 instant coffee in the mug. This pickled cucumber with the bits of red pepper is the same. Chocolate, gum, and banana chips are the same. Only this time I got some sweet and sour sauce packets from my kitchen and I put it on top of both of these. And nothing wrong with that. I also rinsed off the retort pouches before I put them in the boiling water, just so that they would be a little bit cleaner when they came out and I wouldn't have all of that residue to deal with, because the elements in the FRHs are like, they're very porous when it comes to the powder coming through them. Instead of keeping it a little bit more contained like what you would see in an American FRH element, or in some of those from other countries. But some of the other Chinese rations that I have not gotten hold of yet, but I have seen others review, the elements are actually in their own bag, and then you have to open it up and then put that inside of the heater bag before you add the water to it. So that keeps it a lot cleaner. But like the two heater bags from the chicken menu, I saved the ones from this one. I have them inside of a Ziploc bag. The tops of the heater bag they're tucked into the little foam bag, that insulator bag. So the top's folded over into that, and then those are inside of the Ziploc bag. That way it keeps that dust contained. And then the little water measuring bags are inside of that other bag with that folded food tray. So I put the water measuring bag inside of that after taking so this is inside of that bag with the folded food tray. I take this out and then I put the water measuring bag inside there. And then I put the FRHs in with that. So now all of those are together. So all four of those are now in a Ziploc bag. But others who have used the Chinese FRHs before, those things are like rockets in a bag. And I just don't feel like wasting those. I figure I'm in my apartment. I don't need to use it. I just want them handy for when I do need to use it. And because you get two elements, you put one on either side of the retort pouch that you're going to heat up. That produces twice the heat as just a single element. Yeah, this weather is crazy. It'll get warm, then it'll cool down, so I have not been turning my AC on because I don't want to run it for a day, then have to turn it off, and then maybe a day after that turn the heater on. Everywhere it's having weird weather. I watched a video from Michigan earlier today. Had nice warm weather and then a couple of below freezing days, and then it warms up again. So the guy decided, well, I guess I can go ahead and tap a few maple trees, start collecting sap. And yesterday, even though it was cooler here, we were still under a red flag warning. because of the high wind and low humidity. I did not see anything like that for today. But I could tell that it was starting to get cloudy as I was getting ready to set my table up. I could see some darker clouds to the north. So just maybe clouds. Didn't see any rain in the forecast. Even Alaska, the weather has been weird up there. Haven't seen Cliff in the chats for some time, but occasionally I might see something from him on Facebook or Instagram. But I do watch some Alaska channels, and they have been having some crazy weather swings up there. It's, this weather's already messing with people's environmental allergies. I know it has been mine. Two of my sisters who came over yesterday and brought in the chair that I did a post on today. I asked them how our oldest sister was doing after the loss of her husband, but she and the in-laws are holding their own. They're they're obviously going to be dealing with stuff for a while, but they are holding their own. And that's the best that we can hope for, but they know they can reach out if they feel the need to. Got other relatives dealing with the same thing. Slightly different health issues, but they're still dealing with stuff. And we tell them that they're not facing it alone. Just like those who are dealing with a mental health issue, we tell them that there are people who are ready, willing, and able to listen. And I have been that person for a few people here. And I would do that again. That's what I like about being part of groups and communities that have similar interests. Yeah, we all have our unique circumstances, but we can back each other up. Around here, when we had the renovations going on, and a company at the time that was running this place wanted to only have a mobile app for people to use as an option for using the washers and dryers in the laundry room. But I let them know that there are going to be people who either don't have smartphones, are not tech savvy, or who may not be able to load the laundry app when they would like to, and they want to have quarters as a backup option. And so they ended up going that route, and that has definitely paid off because there have been times when the app would fail. And we had to fall back on using quarters to do laundry. Or if you're just one or two quarters shy of being able to run a full load with the app, then I can drop in a quarter and be able to get the full runtime on the machine. Whereas in other buildings, I have not had to go into them, but I know people who have either lived in such a building or have gone into them to serve clients, and they have a card system where you have to use a card, and there's only one way to reload that card. And if that method does not work, there's no backup plan. So I let the management at that time know that we need to have a backup plan here. And so they did give into that. Enough complaining finally got us cameras. But they're pinging off of our Wi-Fi's. So far, I really haven't noticed a significant difference in mine. But I still keep an eye on it. But a little bit at a time. I'm still going to keep complaining about the non-functioning code boxes. Only 2 of the entry doors have them. The other 2 do not. And one of them that does not is the one that is down at the bottom of a ramp for people who use wheelchairs, scooters, or walkers go in and out of. And then there's a south door. That one does not have a code box, only the east and west doors do, but neither of them work. But people still try to use them even though there are notices on those doors that say they don't work. I guess people can't read. So I guess only time will tell if that is going to be solved in one way or another, because, as I've explained to them many times, we can be at home and still lose the package because the delivery driver cannot access the building. And if they refuse to follow our delivery instructions, which clearly state to contact us either by phone or text on arrival, so unless we are outside actively watching, we can miss a package while still being at home. Or we can have packages stolen because they have been told repeatedly not to leave things outside. Because someone may not always be there to catch it right when it is dropped to get it inside in order to prevent that item from being stolen. Unlike where my mom lives, they have a system where someone can dial a code and that will make my mom's phone ring. She can decide whether or not to let that person in or not. So for instance, she gets the commodities food boxes for seniors over, I think you have to be over 65. She's 82. But they will, the person who is making these drops with all of these food boxes will hit on the, will hit the code of a recipient, and in order to make things even more secure for the intended recipient, they're now requiring that the person actively answer the door instead of just leaving it in front of the door. So they have to hear a response. Of course, when my mom doesn't have her hearing aids in, she really doesn't hear much. So I have to be extremely loud. But they're not doing these drops very early in the morning or late in the evening, so she usually has her hearing aids in. But if she's in the bathroom, she can yell. But because there have been some people who live in that building who are stealing from other residents if anything is put in front of someone else's door. So now they have to actually wait for a response from the person who is supposed to receive that box or that package. Otherwise, they'll take it back. Although that's nowhere near as bad as when my mom first moved in and there was a person working in the office who was not depositing the checks and money orders that tenants were using to pay their rent. They're just sitting in the office in a drawer or in an envelope instead of being taken to the bank. And then those tenants get notices saying that they're behind on their rent when they're actually not, but that person finally did get caught. When a search of the office was done and found all of these undeposited checks and money orders. So that person did get fired. In fact, a new manager got hired. So the management, the company that owns the property or manages that property replaced a few people. And then they changed to an all online system. So that everybody has to pay their rent online unless they have a specific reason why they are not able to do that. But that definitely has solved a few problems with those rent payments not getting deposited. Apparently someone was trying to get Silver residents in trouble who otherwise would not have been in trouble. Now this is a complex where you have to be at least 55 to move in, and only a certain percentage of the apartments are income based, where you have to be below a certain income level in order to get a reduced rent. And at the time that my mom moved in, she got the last one of those reduced rent units available. A few more have probably come up since then as people either move out and either go into a nursing home, or they just choose to move elsewhere, or they die, and then that opens up a unit for someone else to move in. But their wait list is probably pretty long. Yeah, my mom gets Social Security only, and so she met a requirement, and she's about to reach the rent cap, meaning after this next increase in her rent, unless something dramatically changes, which is highly unlikely, her rent cannot be raised anymore. She did qualify for something that is not very well known in the state, which is a rent reimbursement. You get equivalent of maybe 1 month's rent per year reimbursed back. So did 2 years worth of applied for 24 and 25, and it took some doing to dig up the rent history for 2024, but with the changes in management and some other issues that went on, there were some difficulties in finding all of the necessary information, but it was found. So she was able to meet that requirement, and she was able to get $1,000 paid to her, and that does not affect her Social Security. It does not affect any other benefits she may get. It does not affect what rent she pays this year. So next year, if that is still going here in Iowa, and she makes it through all of 2026, then next year, because some of her information, her basic information, is already in the system, then all you have to do is just plug in the numbers, and then she could get a payment for equivalent of maybe 1 month's rent for this year. as a test in the system, just to make sure that certain things are working right, that there are no technical issues. I submitted an application, but I'm not, I'm only 60. I turned 60 in January. And there could be some disability qualifications, but a review for that would take so long that I was only interested in doing it just as a test to make sure that it would work for putting my mom's information in. And because my mom's Medicare supplement health insurance has a huge increase, she's having to make the decision on whether she wants to stay with it and just eat that extra amount per month, or maybe try to qualify for Medicaid on top of just a straight up Medicare, or go some other route. Because if she were to stick with the current health plan, if that is even available, she would literally have nothing left to spend on incidental things like personal care items, a little bit of food. She does not get the SNAP or EBT because last time she tried it, she was maybe $20 a month. And it would have gone down from there. Because certain expenses are counted as just one. They're not based on an amount, they're just based on an expense type. And sometimes those rules can change from year to year. So when I encouraged her to apply for the commodity food box, I thought, well, that will give her more than $20 worth of food a month. And then my sisters go to a local food bank or food pantry, and they will pick up items and bring them to her to supplement what she would otherwise get. But and between that and just other things that she has been able to get in the past, she's pretty stocked. She was not getting the enhanced EBT benefit that other EBT users were getting in 2020 and parts of 21, when every SNAP recipient was getting the maximum allowable amount per person, regardless of income, until those amounts were brought back down to pre pre-2020 levels, she was not, she would have gotten the enhanced EBT benefit, and that could have allowed her to really stock up. But even with two of my sisters not working, one on permanent disability because of her ankle surgeries, and now she's going to have gallbladder surgery pretty soon, and the other one who was not working after having been cut from TSA. And because of the way that was done, I'm pretty sure she qualified for unemployment benefits. And now that my brother is up here, he is working at a local Home Depot. So he is contributing to the household expenses. Plus, it provides an additional driver for taking my mom to appointments. And one of her doctors is outside of Des Moines. So I checked into paratransit, but because of that distance, that location is not in the current paratransit coverage area. And when the new route structure kicks in June, it definitely will not be inside of the new paratransit boundary. Yep. My brother still owns his property down in Arkansas. So he just pays the property tax, which is pretty low. But right now, the house on it is really not in that great a shape. And for a time when he was not employed, he was not able to afford the repairs, and he was not getting unemployment benefits. He just decided that he is going to try his luck with getting work up here. He is staying with my two sisters who share a house, which actually worked out well when my one sister was laid up from her 2 ankle surgeries, where she really couldn't do much. She still cannot lift heavy weights. So she has just decided to go on permanent disability. And in a few years, I've checked into this myself as well. Once you reach a certain age, I think it's like 65, then the permanent disability, with its periodic recertifications, that just transitions over to straight up Social Security. So that will put an end to those yearly recertification, or those recertifications every 2 years, where you still have to prove you're disabled. Whereas once it becomes straight up Social Security, you don't have to deal with that. You don't have to deal with certain other income limitations. So in a few years, this sister will start drawing regular Social Security, and any investments she made when she was working, those should not affect that. At least I hope not. And because my one sister who worked for the TSA got IPERS, and my oldest sister who works for the Des Moines Public Schools also is still building up her IPERS. That is a pension system for government employees, whether state, federal, city, or county. As long as you work for a government entity of any kind, outside of the military, that's a completely different system. Then you can get that IPERS or whatever happens to be for your state. It's a like Iowa Public Employee Retirement System is what it basically stands for. Each state would have its own version. Just munching on these banana pieces. My oldest sister is still paying. She still has a few years left on the mortgage on her house. Now, because her husband had cancer, not sure what he had for investments after he had quit a regular job he was doing and then was running a corn stand for a sweet corn farmer. There was no actual service for him, just a memorial fund that people could contribute to if they wanted. And that was probably used just to pay for the burial. And then just dealing with all of the stuff that he left behind. So they have been clearing out the garage and the room that he had slept in. As even though he was going through cancer treatment, he still insisted on smoking. Which obviously was not the thing to do, but, you know, that was his choice, and he had to live with it till the end. But space in that house is being or has been cleared out. And so now the vehicles, or at least two of them, can be parked in the garage, whereas before none could be. I think it's time to take a bite of this chocolate chip cereal bar. Definitely not as dense. Nowhere near as dense as these. So these are legit chocolate chips in there. It just tastes like any other chocolate chip cereal bar that you might find. It's a little bit more of a finer texture than, say, a chocolate chip granola bar. But you would definitely would not want one of these on a hot day. Because the chocolate chips did start to, they left a little bit behind when I took this out of the wrapper. And a little bit has melted onto my tray. But as far as the flavor goes, it's actually not bad. Goes great with the G7 3-in-1 coffee. I'm afraid it might fall apart too much if I try to dip it in there. So I'll just take a bite and take a drink of the coffee. Thanks for dropping in, Tim. Now, being that next month is April, I haven't decided if I'm going to go after the big Dutch ration that I have. I'm really seriously thinking about that. I'm pretty sure that one will take me 3 Sundays to go through. It looks like it's got double the amount of food as the RCIR that I have. And usually when I do those, I don't bother with the breakfast items and that. But once I open that bag up, and show everything that's in there, that will give me more of an idea of what all comes in those, because that is huge. And depending on how much of that food a person would need in one day depends on their activity level. For just your average person, maybe out for a weekend camp, with maybe just a couple of extra items, that bag might be all the food that you would need. I'd seen a few of those on YouTube, both the wet and like the warm climate with the retort pouches and the dry ones for cold climate or high altitude. I've seen a few of those on YouTube, so I am definitely looking forward to getting into this one. One of the items in the RCIR I have had before, but not in a while. There are some newer French rations out there that would be interesting to try. But like any other foreign ration, getting them from outside the U.S., easier said than done. And even Bourbon Street Joe up in Canada has been having issues with his stuff getting raided. You know, this bar, the chocolate chips in there make it not quite so thirst provoking. Those would be good in the MCW or the cold weather more, the modular operational ration enhancement. Now those bars would be perfect for that. These chocolate bars kind of smell like the gum. But in kind of a pleasant way. Not the best chocolate out there, but still a decent dark chocolate. Car Cam, thanks for dropping in. I just finished off the chocolate bars. All I have left is what's left of the isotonic drink mix, which is kind of an unusual flavor blend. I have no idea what the flavor is supposed to be. but it is one of those electrolyte isotonic drink powders. All the bag says is instant drink. This bag does have the ingredients on it. It has things, it has minerals, it's got some vitamins. It says lemon yellow, which is a coloring. So that's, it just says natural flavor. So again, this was a Halal certified, and there is the Halal logo there. So the Chinese equivalent of a Muslim organization that deals with dietary guidelines and making sure that the food produced in that particular facility meet those guidelines for being halal or permissible, meaning that the animal that the meat comes from is slaughtered in a specific manner, is humanely raised before butchering. So the Halal US MRE that I did last week has a similar type of logo on it. And you'll find that for halal certified rations in other countries, like a Spanish halal B2 lunch ration that I did some time back. In fact, I sent one to another person as part of a trade. I'd somehow gotten a hold of two of them in the 1 year, so I don't need to review two. I will offer this as part of a trade to someone else than I did. I have had halal French ration. I've had some halal British rations. I tried to get a halal German ration, but the seller, their payment system was not accepting US payments. So you could have 200 times the amount in your PayPal or in your bank account or on your card as a purchase price, but if the seller's own system that they go through does not accept that payment, it will not be processed. So I could not buy that ration, and I had to tell the seller that because my payment method was not being accepted by their system, and I have no other way to do it. The order had to be canceled. And I was going to buy a Danish ration. Same problem. The system their system was not accepting US based payments. And of course, then you'll find others who will not ship to the US because of other issues that we all know about. So getting rations into the US is becoming much more difficult. So when I saw both of these rations were in the US already, I jumped on it. And asked the seller if both of these could be put in the same package. And the seller said, that's probably what I would have preferred anyway. And so that's how I was able to get both of those. And the seller did a partial refund on the shipping because of that. Now the Dutch ration and the French one that I got from the same person, they were already in the US. So I only paid for the Dutch one, but because of some stuff that was going on the seller's end, he decided to go ahead and toss in the French one as an extra bonus. Now these drink mixes do mix up pretty well. Just a tiny bit of residue at the bottom, which I'm shaking up. I just got a little bit of a salty flavor from the bottom. From the electrolytes that were in there. The only thing I did not eat for those coming in late, I did not choose a piece of gum. But this is what it looks like. That was packed in the same packet with the 2 little chocolate bars. But I will save that gum. Then these 2 bars here, these are long shelf life bars. These have a best buy of 2044. Shows it better on the chocolate one. But as long as these are still sealed and kept within a decent temperature range, these will stay just as good. They'll be just as good in 2044 as they were the day that these are packed. September 18 of 2044 on both of these. You can buy these bars by the case online. There are additional flavors other than this chocolate and this multivitamin. I did sample these when I did the chicken menu. These are the same in that one as well. The only difference is the entrees in this one have beef. But because these are the same, I saw no need to open these again. I still have the inside this package. The bars are individually wrapped, and then there are score lines where you could break each one of these in half again. So you could have like 4 individual squares out of this pack. So I sampled one of each of the bars, and then what was left out of that, I simply ate it another time. Then the other pair of squares is still inside their inner wrapping, and I folded that back inside of this outer packaging. But these two I will leave as is. These will be good for a bug out bag, get home bag, emergency car kit, any other kind of emergency travel kit. They're somewhat similar to other emergency ration bars. Some people like to call them lifeboat food. Yeah, there's like Mainstays, Mayday, Grizzly Gear, Seven Oceans, SOS. I think the Red Cross even has their own branded version of this. But there are other companies that make bars similar to this. There's also the Millennium bars, which you can find in different flavors. I have not tried any of those, but I do hope to try some of those in the near future. But I'm definitely glad to have a sealed set of these to add to my emergency food supply. And that's what these will be for. That's why I brought out the chocolate chip cookie, that cereal bar, as a substitute for one of these. And these rations did not have a hot drink option, so I got into my G7 coffee. This particular 3-in-1 blend is my favorite 3-in-1 instant coffee. It comes from Vietnam. So I figured, well, that's close to, that's in that same part of the world. I figured, well, I'll just have that with my Chinese fried rice dinner. But I think that is going to do it for this. So the items that I obviously did not use, like this is a toothpick in here, the spoon, and the napkin will get added to my stash of disposable items, so that in the event I have to restrict my water use, I can use these instead of washing my regular utensils. And I can just toss them. Same with my paper plates and paper bowls. Even those folded food trays that came with this ration and the chicken one, I can use those to put food in, and I don't have to wash it. I can just dispose of it as I see fit. So I have a bag for the napkin, I have a bag for the spoon. This wrapped toothpick will get put in a certain place. Just like I saved the flameless ration heater bags. That way, if I have to use them, to heat up something discreetly, I can do that. It's just one additional way I can be better prepared to face whatever challenges may come at me. Even in this apartment, I can be better prepared to deal with stuff. After the 2020 derecho, I realized that my backup power plan was pretty much non-existent. I don't get direct sun on my deck, so those little tiny solar panels that I was trying to use to charge a phone or another power bank with, they were just not cutting it. So now I have small power stations that I can use. And while I got grid power, I'll just charge them off the wall. But I do have solar panels. That way, if I have to go down to the park, or at least down to the parking lot, and have to sit there with it, that way no one steals it, I'll still be able to charge it back up. But I think I'm going to go ahead and call this one good. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. Again, next month we'll begin a whole new ration odyssey, and I hope you come back for that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and catch you on the flip side.